Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. I would like first to thank this invitation to participate at the EMI Stakeholder Forum. As mentioned in my presentation, I am Maria Vidal. I am MD, PhD by training, and working at the Commission since 1992. If I may have next slide, please. Let's talk about the context in which we are all operating and that we know the challenges and opportunities we are facing. Cancer, we know, is a global health priority, and in spite of the important advances in the fight against this disease, we are seeing rising trends in low and middle income countries. We also know that cancer is surpassing even cardiovascular disease in some areas as the first cause of death. A change in cancer research and cancer care is taking place in a changing landscape of healthcare, with raising costs for treatments and increasing pressure on European healthcare systems. We all know about differences in outcomes, insufficient comparative assessment of current practices and approaches. But we also have to seize the opportunities that are offered to us, and the conversions of the advances in the understanding of cancer biology, the advent of the drug-targeted therapies, the molecular profiling and risk classification approaches, new ones that are taking place, bring closer the promise to deliver precision medicine. If I may have next one, please. Cancer care and research for the benefit of patients has been a long-standing priority for the European Union. Indeed, in 2015, last year, marked the 30th anniversary of the launch of the European Council and the Commission of the first Europe Against Cancer program, which led, amongst others, to the development of the European Code Against Cancer, to cancer screening guidelines, which are implemented now in most member states, or comprehensive EU tobacco control policies. Cancer research efforts were launched in parallel. The first large epidemiological studies, which were carried out in the 80s and the 90s at EU level, were addressing, in particular, cancer. Established in 1986, the EU research framework programs bring added value by providing an opportunity to address complex issues transnationally in a multidisciplinary and coordinated manner. And this added value can bring together a critical mass of human and financial resources, or the cross-fertilization of complementary expertise, and the access to data from a large number of countries. In a field like cancer research, this is an obvious asset. Since 2002, the EU efforts in this area have been devoted to foster integrated transnational research and shorten the innovation life cycle by building expertise and leverage resources, by promoting research coordination, by developing research capacities in EU and globally, with a view to provide evidence-based solutions for clinical challenges and underpin the development of health policies. Next slide, please. So what are the outcomes of these efforts? Since 2007, 2013, the 7th Framework Programme for Research, the Commission has dedicated some 1.5 billion euro to cancer research, using a variety of funding mechanisms that are shown partly in this slide, which are tailored to address the different needs, such as collaborative research, frontier research, public-private partnerships, such as the Innovative Medicine Initiative, which is bringing us together today, the coordination of national activities or international partnerships. The bulk of the efforts, as you can see in this slide, have been devoted to collaborative research, with a total contribution of some 937 million, addressing biomarkers, disease etiology, resistance mechanisms, but also investigator-driven trials or palliative and end-of-life care. 356 million represent the investments from the European Research Council, where applicants freely choose the subject of research. And this reflects also the importance of new discoveries in understanding the multitude of molecular causes and mechanisms that drive cancer initiation and maintenance. And another important area of focus, cancer efforts, it's the funding to the Marie Curie actions, where we provided 55 million devoted to increase and sustain the excellence of the new generation of trained cancer scientists. But these are just numbers, so let me illustrate this with a few examples. Next slide, please. Two important areas for us as an outcome of this program have been, first, enhancing clinical evidence. Reliable evidence from clinical trials, we know all, is essential for making appropriate decisions concerning the benefits and harms associated with clinical interventions. Working at EU level allows to gather the appropriate clinical mass of expertise and resources which will fasten results delivered. And this is why, as part of this program, over €1 billion were devoted to support clinical trials. We had 165 projects which were developing or implementing 286 clinical trials with an overall number of 340,000 patients recruited. The figures represent all type of diseases, but you will see that in the area of cancer, some over 180 million euro were devoted to that. And we were supporting most efforts were phase 1 to phase 2 studies, which are addressing both preventive and all type of therapeutic approaches. And this is important for us, not only drug, but also surgery, radiotherapy, or others. If I may have the next slide. A second important effort has been maximizing cohort value to underpin informed care and research. Population cohorts have identified many important insights into the determinants of health, well-being, and disease. Just let's think of the link between smoking and lung cancer, or the influence of early life circumstances on health later life, or the contribution of genetic and environmental factors in disease development. In addition, outputs from these studies have helped to make contributions to help to public health practice and also to change clinical practice. Europe has a strong scientific leadership in this area, and established registers and cohorts have been developed in most member states. So a part important of action of our 7th framework program has been the support of existing cohorts and the establishment of new ones with a view to synergize and capitalize on these trends that we do have. So we do have, for instance, around 266 projects for a value of €1 billion. And when we had the analysis of the 55 collaborative projects that we are supporting in this area of health, we have some 3 million subjects, which are, as you see, mostly they are establishing, but also expanding or merging in the different areas. And cancer research is one of those addressed. If I may have next one. But the EU efforts, albeit they may seem substantial, represent only some 3.5% of annual cancer research expenditure in member states. So support to the coordination of cancer research throughout Europe has represented an increasingly important objective of the EU research and innovation policy in the last 10 years. Since 2002, the EU has been funding initiatives tailored to this purpose, such as the mapping of national research funding across Europe through the Eurocamp Plus study, aimed at identifying needs and gaps of pan-European coordination, or the Eurocamp platform that was mentioned this morning, which has led, amongst other things, to the establishment of Europe Cancer Corps. I would like to mention also Eurocourse, which has been linking national and regional cancer registries and biobanks with a view to improve data collection and optimize cancer control. But also our TransCan ERANet, which starting in 2011 is linking now 29 national and regional funding organizations in 20 countries with the purpose of joining efforts on translational cancer research. For the moment, 33 million have been mobilized through the different agencies, and after the calls in 2015, we have some 40 million being put in this type of partnerships. If I have the next one. Horizon 2020 was launched in 2014 and is to last until 2020. Horizon is structured in 3 distinct but mutually reinforcing pillars: excellence, industrial leadership, and societal challenges. The excellent pillar is aimed at boosting excellence in European science, and this is by supporting the best ideas through the European Research Council and its bottom-up approach, and developing talent with Europe through the Marie Curie fellowships, but also providing research with access to priority research infrastructures. The second pillar is industrial leadership, and we want to strengthen the European industry leadership in Europe. And this means for that are facilitating access to risk finance through specific financial schemes, which include even debt and equity finance facilities, and by stimulating the innovation potential of SMEs. And to this aim, there is a dedicated SME instrument, which is mirroring the US small business research model, and it's of particular value in the area of cancer research, as I will show in my next slide. Third, we have the societal challenges, and the health demographic change and well-being challenge is the largest of the societal challenges. Our program has a horizontal approach fostering integration across diseases and disciplines, covering the full innovation chain from basic research to deployment of products, interventions and services, mobilizing also information technologies for the benefit of healthcare systems and citizens. And its main objective is contributing to delivery personalized medicine, and cancer research is a pioneer in this field. If I may have the next one. The program is addressing the continuum of care, from prevention, as you can see in the slide, to etiology, model systems, therapy, or issues of survivorship. We are supporting innovative clinical trial designs, addressing comorbidities and molecular understanding of diseases, and going a step further on data consolidation by the networking and optimization of the use of population and patient cohorts at EU level, and addressing comparative effectiveness of health interventions, one area that was mentioned by a lot of the previous speakers during today. So, if I may have next, what are we delivering? Is this working? Well, if you look at the figures, cancer research in the course from 2014 to 2015, 650 million euro have been devoted to this area. From translational research to investigator-driven trials, as I said, comparative effectiveness, palliative care, 103 million are devoted to cancer prevention and early diagnosis, and there is an increase in our type of research focused on innovation and research for the benefit of patients, but also too close to the market. Seeing these figures, we can say that the challenge-driven approach of Horizon 2020 fits particularly well the multidisciplinary nature of cancer research. Let me give you a snapshot in particular areas. We are, for instance, having a comprehensive portfolio on targeted therapies development, supporting 137 projects for a value of 258 million euro, which are addressing preclinical and clinical trials on T CAR cells, DNA vaccines, RNA vaccines, peptides, dendritic cells, or antibodies. If I may have next, we are also having a focused efforts of biomarkers which should inform care, provided with about 3 billion in funding over the period from 2014 to 2020. The SME instrument helps high potential SMEs to develop ideas for products, services, or processes. The health program has focused its efforts on the validation of biomarkers and/or diagnostic and biomedical devices. And cancer research and innovation is an intensive SME lead area, and opportunities are many for application. And indeed, 33% of all submitted applications were addressing cancer. And as you can see, we are addressing the biomarkers of chemotherapy response in liquid biopsies, for instance, or medical devices for non-invasive diagnosis of metastatic lung cancer. So any type of biomarker prognostic approach. If I may have some. But let's not forget patient-centered quality of life. EU cancer research policy is obviously first and foremost at the service of the cancer patient. So addressing the consequences of cancer's treatment, such as long-term side effects, the better understanding the genetic background and risk of individuals, or improving the quality of life and empowering patients and survivors has been a focused effort over the years. And these are some of the examples of the projects that we're supporting now, from innovative palliative care interventions to improve quality of life, to validating predictive models of radiotherapy toxicity. If I may have next, big data. We have been talking today a lot about big data, but big data is also about better data. And future health research will increasingly rely on integration of large data sets to provide the evidence of personalized medicine and future health policies. And such databases range from high-throughput omics analysis of human specimens to electronic health records, personal devices, or data from patient cohorts and registries. And efficient use of big data requires interoperability and standardization. Everybody is discussing these issues, we too. So to address all these, last October, we had a workshop in Luxembourg on the issue of big data in health research and EU action plan. These are the results of the discussions. And The participants including all stakeholders from bioinformaticians to computational biologists, ICT experts, pharmaceutical industry, patient advocacy groups, etc. If I may have next, for the EU effort and the Commission, patients are at the heart of research and innovation. We do have them in the projects as partners through the ethics boards and the safety monitoring boards and patient input platform, but also they offer the patient's perspective on recruitment, on design, on project communication, and they help us to translate results in the language and modify guidelines to better fit patients' needs. We have them all in policy design by work programs based on wide consultation, which also includes European patients associations. They participate to our workshops, and our topics are patient-centered. If we have made the next one. We are here in meeting in the Innovative Medicine workshop. Public-private partnership, IMI, between the EU and the pharmaceutical industry. You know all well, cancer is a strategic priority of the Strategic Research Agenda of 2014-2020. And it has benefit for a comprehensive support to support biomarkers or omics and xenopatents in vitro models or circulated tumor cells. And the IMI topics have recently been focused on outcomes data platforms to empower policymakers and clinicians and optimize care for hematological malignancies, or a comprehensive pediatric preclinical POC platform to enable clinical molecule development. And we hope this meeting will inform what is the areas are to follow. Next slide, please. But the EU is also teaming up with international partners to scale up achievements and accelerate the development of knowledge and its application. And that's why we are working together in the International Rare Disease Research Consortium, for instance, or International Cancer Genomic Consortium, and contributing to the International Human Epigenome Consortium. For IRDIC, the objective is to have 200 new therapies by 2020, and 43 international partners and funders are collaborating together with a view and a commitment to allocate $10 million over the next 5 years. If I may have next one. The implementation of personalized medicine is a major objective in Europe and beyond. A substantial amount of research has been done already at national and EU level that has led to many innovative fundings. But if we want to establish Europe as a global leader in this area, we need to collaborate. This is why the Commission has established and launched last June the International Consortium of Personalized Medicine. Why? To establish Europe as a global leader in personalized medicine research, support the personalized science-based through a coordinated approach, and provide evidence to demonstrate the benefit to citizens and healthcare systems by implementing of a roadmap based on the strategic research agenda. Next slide, please. The 5 main priority areas of action are based on the strategic research agenda: developing awareness and empowerment, bringing innovation to the market, translating basic clinical research and beyond, and integrating big data and ICT solutions. The last one is shaping sustainable healthcare, all issues which have been discussing. If I may have next slide. The ECPER-MED roadmap is under development. It will include a series of actionable research activities and proposed means for implementation at EU, national, and regional level. It will be available in the last quarter of 2016 and will be updated regularly. Next slide, please. What can we, EU, offer to support best care of patients and optimize research efforts? A network of collaborative projects throughout Europe and beyond, which are addressing the continuum of cancer research. An efficient public-private partnership, we believe, Innovative Medicines Initiative to accelerate the delivery of innovative therapies, an established framework for effective research coordination between EU countries, and a certain experience strong in international global cooperation via a flexible model. This means a lot of potential for collaboration, knowledge, and data across disciplines and sectors, including public-public and private-private partnerships, building on existing projects and schemes, which should accelerate innovative research for the benefits of patients in prevention, risk reduction, favoring early diagnosis, and better treatment and care. and strongly supporting to international efforts, including the development of research plans and policies. Horizon 2020, we believe, provides many opportunities to rapidly deliver in the field of cancer research for the benefit of patients. Cancer, with its heavy toll on patients, relatives, and healthcare and health systems, is putting the aim of improving the lifelong health and well-being of the population at risk. And I think that Horizon 2020 intends to mobilize Europe's best research and innovation capacities to address this. We share all these goals, and we are willing to let's take in together this opportunity. And I thank you for your attention. Next slide. If you want to know more about the framework program and what we have been doing in cancer research, you have some information there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the overview, and also basically for giving us a bit of a perspective what the Commission is thinking about and trying to implement. Any questions from the audience on that? Denny, please. Yeah, you can use this one.
Yes, just a question, because I guess I'm not the only one to have some observation and concern with the way the reviews are done when we apply for call at the European level. And as you know, well, it's a competitive, of course, submission. Here today, we are here, and we have different stakeholders that can bring solutions to personalized medicine. Again, if we go for a call for that, are we going to make it? Are we not going to make it? We depend heavily on review processes. I think there are people in the room today that have ambitions and that have part of the solution. Is there a way that all the main bodies being in the room, IMI, Commission, regulators, that we don't go through this approach, but that there is really, we get together, there is funding put down so that we can really move personalized medicine up front. Otherwise, we'll be turning in circle, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Denis, for your comments. Well, this is, the Commission is willing through Horizon 2020 to provide the possibility to all stakeholders to collaborate. This is why we are here today, and this is why we are establishing the IC Permed initiative, for instance, where constant discussions are taking place between all type of skilled stakeholders, between the industry to the patients, scientific community, etc. And we are trying to provide through the different advisory groups and the mechanisms for advice of the Commission in order that the program is most informed to incorporate all potential novelties and ways of doing cancer research and enhancing treatment and care of patients the better possible way. And of course, we are always open to talk to all stakeholders and to look about and the way for the best available way to implement all these novelties as fast as possible and as best as possible. But indeed, yes, the program is based in scientific peer review and excellence and competition.